All right, good evening, THL, and welcome to Thursday Throwdown. Please ignore the maniacal Monday sign there. It is Thursday Throwdown, and my name is Dr. Fish. I will be your op for this evening, and I have two wonderful casters for our one match for tonight. We have two of the players of our reigning, defending Pro Series champion. We have the one and only Heat Shock. Hello.
Hello, good to be here again.
Yeah, and alongside we've got Ufric. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, excited to cast.
Awesome. Well, this is kind of where my end of the talking finishes up. I'll let these guys go ahead and introduce the match, and I'll be working behind the scenes with the players to get them ready. So, take it away.
Yeah, tonight we've got an exciting 5-seed battle in Legacy between Jolt C and Lefty. It's going to be Conquest, of course. So everybody needs to win with all of their decks, and it's going to be supposedly a double Paladin ban. Paladin is definitely one of the winners of the recent patch, I think, because it did not get nerfed. And it'll be interesting to see what other strategies people try, because the meta is pretty new and unrefined at this point. So hopefully we'll see some new things.
Yeah, I'd just like to note these are some really high PR 5 seeds. You know, they're both sitting at around 200. I'm really hoping that means that we're going to see some really spicy takes on this new meta. You know, maybe some big warrior. I'm hoping that just magically there's two big warriors. Probably not, though.
Right, I think we were talking Big Warrior is definitely a totally left field new deck in this patch, but pretty popular in GM and not too hard to pick up quickly, I think, for the 5 seed, where maybe you don't have as much time in your day to scrim and learn new stuff. But especially for Jolt C, I think it makes a lot of sense because there's no inevitable kind of classes on the table for Lefty. There's no Warlock or Mage or Shaman to really shut it down, so Big Warrior's probably pretty safe.
Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, I think Big Warrior has some of that like potential against Shaman. I don't think it's like out of, you know, out of out of Lefty's mind. I think it could be a possibility. But the more realistic scenario is that we just see, two pirate warriors. You know, they both decided to ban the suspected Libram Paladin so that they can play some very tempo and board based matchups, right?
Yeah, Big Warrior and Pirate Warrior are both options. Pirate Warrior doesn't seem to be doing as well in the stats, but it's pretty popular on ladder. So we could definitely see that come out. I think it's more of an anti-aggro deck, though. So I would be concerned about playing Pirate Warrior into a Big Warrior, because I think that it would have trouble dealing with some of the larger minions that come out if you're an aggressor. But there's many different builds of Pirate Warrior too, so nothing's certain.
Yeah, I think either way, both like any build of Pirate Warrior is really going to struggle against Big, which means I really hope we get to see it.
Yeah, and then we have Druid as well for both players. I kind of expect some alignments to be played. I think that makes the most sense because the taunt style is only really at its strongest against aggression, and I don't think either player has obvious aggression in their lineups.
I mean, Lefty definitely wouldn't want to bring it leaving up Shaman. I mean, I've played that matchup a ton. Taunt Druid it can't seem to win if there's even like a single Perpetual Flame. You know, I've came close a few times before, but just it always gets you.
Right. I think that there's some possibility that there's an elemental shaman here, especially in the lower seeds. I think we've seen a lot of that deck. But the quest does make a lot of sense here. So I think that the Taunt Druid is less appealing. And then we have this Demon Hunter recently getting hit with the Brutes. I don't know if that's going to be the choice at this point. It might be a Fel or a Death Rattle. Death Rattle Demon Hunter seems to be picking up a lot of steam following the patch.
It's tempting to play, but I think ultimately we'll see the quest Il'gynoth just standard build. Like, I mean, 1 mana on the brutes I don't think is enough of a difference. I think we'll see probably just the same old build as before patch.
I think that's fair. I think also, though, that that deck is pretty tough to play, and I would be concerned about having it when there's not a rogue up, that it's easy food for that deck, because I think that you have to win with all your decks here.
Oh, how lovely. We are
Mhm.
seeing the big warrior. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, and this is a great matchup for big warrior too. Big warrior into the oh, I guess it isn't quest. No, I guess this is just fell DH. Still, it has to be an amazing matchup
Yeah.
for the big warrior.
I'd suspect this is like 80-20 warrior favored, because once these taunts start coming up, there's just no way through them.
Oh, absolutely not. Wait, did he keep grunt? Oh, that's a spicy play.
I think
Unless
it potentially greedy if there's death rattles coming out in the early game, but against Fel, there's probably not a lot of threats you have to deal with in the
I mean,
first few turns.
I think because of the commencement, like grunt just seems pointless, right? Like, do you really need 2 minions? I guess I
Well, it
would
probably
say.
doesn't hurt, and it curves nicely without the coin.
Fair enough. We'll see the sigil come out. Looking at Lefty's hand, nothing too exciting. You like to see the 4-drop. That's always a good card to play on tempo or on curve. Everything else is just kind of gonna be ineffectual in this matchup.
This kind of Jace is not bad. I don't know if he's playing the 5/3 that can copy it.
Zai.
Zai, yeah. That might be kind of the gas that Lefty needs to close this game out.
I mean, I think Zai might give you a couple percentage points in a matchup that is not good for you at all.
Right. I mean, Warrior's going to end up with a lot of armor around turn 8, 9, 10, so...
Top decking a troublemaker. I'm curious to see how many minions, how many big minions, the current iteration of Big Warrior is running. Because there's a possibility for Jolt to just, top deck all of them. I've played a lot of Big Warrior, and there is a non-zero chance that just happens to you.
Right, I'm looking at Bly's deck list from GM, and it has 2 Troublemakers and 1 Rattlegore. And that's it for the top end. It's not the Scrapyard Colossus, more kind of heavy end that we're used to seeing. There could still be 1 or 2 of those cards, but I wouldn't expect like the 7 minion top end.
I would be happy to see Moarg, and I think if I was in Jolt's position, I think going against a DH, I would love to put the Moarg in, right? Because that gigantic taunt and the 8 armor is just game over, right?
Right.
So I'll trust that that's in the list.
Well, either way, there's still at least 2 minions in the deck, so these Cowardly and Commencement right now is going to be active, assuming no more minions are drawn.
Well,
I
under
wouldn't
that
hate
assumption,
seeing
only
this.
those
Mhm.
will be active. So there will be
Right.
dead draws.
I do think it's time to play the studies and kind of shape our next few turns around what we find. If it's a 4-drop, which is very common, we can coin it out 4 into 4. And if it's a skull, it's better to start moving it over now rather than on
Yeah, I
a
think
future time, unless you want to wait till turn 6 to play it.
you probably need to get the discounts and just like try and drown out just drown out a suspected control warrior with just waves of pressure off of discounts. I think that would be the chance to win. But since
Are
this
we
is big
considering a
warrior,
tempo minefield here?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any point to it, but maybe Jolt's thinking about hand size. I don't know how that would come up. They hovered Bladestorm last turn, and we didn't really talk about it. I don't know if they just love playing with their hand a little bit, because I don't think we were playing Bladestorm last turn. In any case,
Yeah,
we're gonna see
I
the
don't think that would
Felgorger
be
come
good.
down. That's a good card to have ready for Jace, the Fury.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Il'gynoth
we're going to have to
not
play it
discounted.
before the Il'gynoth, which is a bummer, right? Because we wanted
Yeah.
to get those discounts with the Eldrachi. But
Absolutely.
if we want to play it twice, we have to play it sooner.
This
Do you,
seems
would
like the tempo minefield.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
think it's Minefield or Bladestorm. I don't know. Either one would probably be fine, right?
um since Jolt knows now that it's fell. There are more targets for Bladestorm, so I think it's just a simple minefield hero power
Mhm.
pass. You don't want to be killed by just like accidentally leaving up like a Jace plus a minion or even
Tempo
just
Il'gynoth.
Tempo
Yeah.
Il'gynoth. Terrifying.
We have the Decoerce in hand, so we could always kill it as long as we can play another card. But I think here we're gonna have to see the studies come out to start looking at our options. We could always
I
point a skull.
personally I just expect the Chaos Strike here and just start chipping away. I mean, it kind of depends. If there's a Zai in list, you don't want to play the Jace as soon as possible. Oh, there's the Skull.
Hmm.
But otherwise, you kind of just want to get like things like Chaos Strike and Fury down so that you can play that Jace, get some draw off of it, get some damage off of it, and kill in those following turns before anything happens for the Control Warrior.
Right.
Or should I say Big Warrior?
Well, it is definitely the controlling role in this matchup, just trying to outlast the damage that the Demon Hunter puts out. It doesn't necessarily need to be an aggressor here at all.
Oh man, got the spell damage discount.
That's
That
a
actually
huge deal.
represents a lot of damage, yeah.
We also got a free I-Beam. I want to point that out because every point of mana counts. Because when you hit 10, you need to be able to end the game.
Jolt is playing Moarg. The 8/8 with gain 8 armor is a good card against Demon Hunter.
Right.
Two things the Demon Hunter struggles to deal with: 8/8s and 8 armor.
Do we see the skull is going to be kind of trapped now? It's a very unfortunate top deck because we don't want to play the I-Beam or the Arcanist really at all.
Mm-hmm.
Moarg picked up.
We also don't really want to clear this grunt because the chances are that it pulls out something much bigger.
Right. I don't think we should kill it. If it pulls out a... We do see the Moarg, by the way. So there are 5 minions probably in the warrior deck. But if it pulls out a Rattlegore here, it's pretty painful.
It might even just be game. Will we see Lefty kill the grunt with an MO?
No.
Survey says no. Alright, this is a simple 9/7. And
Vine Shield Rattlegore comes out.
the Rattlegore with Taunt. That is a big minion. I think this just spells... Well, no, I mean, Lefty's not out of this at all. Il'gynoth's in hand. You have an Arcanist. You really just need to get the Moargs.
On turn 9, how much damage do we have here? We can do 6 with the I-Beam and the Moarg, and then the Fell Scream plus 3 spell damage. 9, 18, so 20, 24 exactly on turn 9. But we have to get there, right?
This is
That's the question at this point.
assuming Jolt doesn't hero power at all, and that you somehow live through all of that.
Right. Not an easy task, for sure. At this point, we're seeing 15 come in a likely lethal setup. Especially with this Troublemaker pushing another 6. This surviving that one turn shouldn't be an issue, but following that could get very questionable. I think we should see the Forge Fiend come down over the Troublemaker, but it's a very tough call. What are you thinking?
I think in general, I would like to see the Forge Fiend. Even if it magically dies and like doesn't set up lethal, it's still going to be 8 armor. It's still going to slow things down so that the Demon Hunter just has absolutely no chance to kill you. I understand Jolt might be looking at those 2 discounted cards and be very afraid of giving the Demon Hunter any time. So we might see the Troublemaker come down just for that reason. But I
Right.
still prefer just getting the armor.
Well, assuming the Rattlegore doesn't die here, it's a lethal setup anyway. Hero power.
Um,
24 is a breakpoint, so I don't think this is totally unreasonable.
yeah.
Part of the reason I liked Rancor as well, so getting as much armor as we can
I was going to jokingly
and pulling
recommend
a Moarg.
Rancor, but I do actually enjoy it. This is the best of both worlds.
Right.
Getting away from that 24 breakpoint and summoning a big minion. I like it.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty clean turn there. We will have to ask at the end of this if that was the only minion in deck. I think this sets up really well though for killing your own minion to make sure that you get away from that any sort of breakpoint around 20 or 30.
I would have to assume that it's not the only minion deck. I don't know why, Jolt would be running one Troublemaker, but
Right.
either way, like if you get the Troublemaker or not, it's basically the same, right? We were debating, do you play a Moarg or do you play a Troublemaker? And Jolt just said, oh no, I'll just pull one from deck and to get away from that 24 breakpoint. I think it was all around a pretty good play.
Yeah, I liked it. Big Warrior getting 3 though, not a surprise. Probably the strongest deck for Jolt here.
In the meta, actually. You could have
The
just
strongest deck in the meta.
Yeah, you could have
Right.
just stopped yourself mid-sentence.
No, it certainly worked out really well. At this point, the Druid and the Shaman are the more questionable decks, right?
Yeah.
I think with the Paladin ban, Warrior was pretty likely to find a way through. We may see Lefty bring out his own big Warrior now. Perhaps having some fear of the Shaman, he'll hold off on that. We want to make sure we pick up points here at the most. So maybe trying to find the best deck against Shaman might be that Druid. If it's a alignment Druid, could be pretty good against Shaman and have some game against Druid as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if Jolt maybe leaned into countering Demon Hunter and went for like a an Anaconda or alignment druid, and if Jolt would want to just cue that right now and how that would play out.
Mm-hmm. We do see the big Warrior come out, or a Warrior. Let's see if it's big or not. It is big. I think that makes sense.
I'm so happy.
It's going to be tough here though because Quest Shaman is not the easier matchup for it. I guess this makes sure that the Druid probably won't get through, right? If you play the Warrior, and if you don't play the Warrior and the Druid gets through, then perhaps the Warrior never picks up a win anywhere.
And then you just have no chance. I think that makes sense, and so I think it makes sense for Lefty. That just means that Jolt, got the read and managed to cue the Quest Shaman perfectly.
Right. I wonder if this means that the Druid might be a token one to try and win the Druid mirrors. Could be possible.
I mean, would you really bring Taunt Druid against any of the other decks, though?
No, probably not.
Yeah, if you were assuming Lifesteal DH, like just a quest Lifesteal DH, then like you still wouldn't want to bring it. And even against Fel, it's just not good. So it would just be for the Druid.
Right.
Mirror.
Here we see a little bit of a different Warrior build, though. Athletic Studies and Provoke in the opening hand. Pretty different from what we were seeing last game.
Oh, this is like the pre-patch build. Whenever it was just like whispered about.
I have seen these cards a little bit, and I think some GMs brought them as well.
Interesting.
Just more of a anti-aggression defense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Provoke is a good card fitting into the list, and Athletic Studies definitely helps with the anti-aggro, but it's kind of curious how that'll pan out against a Quest Shaman.
Right. I mean, right now there's only one threat, and that's the Rattlegore. So if this Guidance finds a Devolving or a Hex, it could not be enough to end the game against Shaman quickly. And if you give Shaman time, things are not good.
I mean, usually, and I contend this is true, as soon as those charge calls get double casted, it's usually just game over. Warrior, especially big warrior here, it will be impossible to clear 2 scrapyard colossi. So it'll just be GG from there.
Well, we
That
could
being
see a
said,
brawl or something and into shield slams or coerces, but it's certainly really frustrating to see scrapyards come out when you've just developed your troublemaker or something, right? Because it probably involves the troublemaker dying in order to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm. And what you're referring to there for a clear would be 3 cards trying to clear 1, and that just isn't going Warrior's way at that point. Warrior doesn't have the value generation of Shaman, so that's quickly losing.
It also doesn't have any disruption tools like Mutinous to prevent holding spell damage, minions, and lightning bolts for an eventual 30 damage or something around that breakpoint.
Absolutely. I was kind of surprised we didn't see the guidance come out here, but I guess full tempo? I'm not too sure about this line.
I think it makes sense because Rancor and Bladestorm become a lot worse when you combine the 2 health and the 3 health minions, because either way it's not going to be a full clean pickup.
I mean, I would almost be comfortable like not playing around Bladestorm there, because if we just played the Feral Spirits, right, and got a Bladestorm out of it, that's a Bladestorm gone. I'm happy with that, you know?
Well, I think
We're
we can
gonna
do
have
better.
much scarier boards.
Sword and Board coin is obviously a really important tool for Big Warrior, but Serpentine really hurt if we didn't get rid of that 3/2, so I don't mind it so much.
And I think Lefty is sizing things up. You know, it's not like there's a coin commencement coming down. The best thing you could do is just coin out a grunt, but at that point, you know, there would be so much board presence that you're probably just dying over the top, right? So I think it was probably worth it to spend the coin to clear that. Oh, a Prime.
Pretty nice. Prime is a pretty good late game draw.
That can clear 2 Moargs. Probably won't be relevant, but just adds to the giant value imbalance between the 2 decks.
Right, and like a troublemaker as well, it would kill it and come out on top against all the 3/3s.
Zixor is just broken. I think we're making this revelation. Zixor Prime is broken.
This wand maker is a pretty important tool, though. Whatever comes out of it will be very impactful on the game, I think. Any transform effects are just such a premium in the matchup. Not a transform effect, but still a reasonably good card.
Also, by the way, not a Perpetual Flame. I am surprised to see that Wand Maker is still showing up. I really thought Quest Shaman would pivot away from that now that they can't get Perpetual Flame.
That's a good point, but I think that the other 1-mana spells are so likely to be overload in quest completion that you still want to probably run it.
What do you like most here? I
like the Steward, yeah. You could trade the other one away, but it's either way you're getting a card, right? And I think I'd rather get the minion with it.
It doesn't die to Rancor. It's a solid enough body. It's also pretty annoying for Warrior without enough armor to deal with it. So you can have spell damage for 2 turns, potentially.
Right. One of the things I do want to note about Jolt's playstyle this game is he's really prioritized hitting that hero power when he has the time rather than playing minions or developing tempo. I wonder if that's... I think with Rancor in existence, it becomes worse to really get those hero powers because it's just feeding the armor. But it makes some sense.
So are you saying you would just skip the hero power entirely, or go for, you know, using your mana some other way? Like
I would have tried probably to use my mana other ways because I don't know that the totems offer a lot of value. Although we can copy one here, it's not even that bad because it kills this, challenges the minion. Torrent makes a lot more sense though, I think, with being able to kill a troublemaker or a Moarg.
Yeah. Jolt,
There's
as a
Mhm.
big warrior player themselves, they know what's going to happen, and they are just preparing themselves. Honestly, at this point, I thought Jolt. Oh, ooh, those are some pretty solid cards.
They are.
But as I was saying, at this point, I was surprised Jolt wasn't just trying to save the guidance for like maximum value post quest.
One
I
of the
really
things I like to see the most, though, when I'm watching competitive Hearthstone is consistency in your game plan. And it's clear that hitting the hero power there, that Joel has a very clear idea of how this matchup is, or how he wants to approach the matchup, and he's really sticking to that. And I really appreciate that. He's not flip-flopping. Oh, but we see a Scrapyard Colossus coming down.
Oh man, this is really a throwback.
That's dangerous. And it's a sign of a heavier value package in this warrior build. We see the Moarg in hand and a Scrapyard on board, so there could be a lot more gas to this warrior than we might typically find.
So we obviously don't want to use the devolving missiles here. So
How do you
we
feel
can-
about Diligent evolving here? The Scrapyard's just so frustrating. I kind of want to get the devolving missiles back, and then come up with some other way to kill this. Putting two
I
torrents in, or torrent and a minion, seems a little painful.
I mean, we could just use the torrent with the diligent note taker, right? That way we can just clear without losing our minion. I was also looking at just using a torrent plus the perpetual flame. You know, perpetual flame isn't
Going
going to do
for
much
the
in this
kill.
matchup, right? Oh, I don't think I like Canal Slaughter. That's
No,
interesting.
I don't like this either. It's so just not a very clean trade.
Doesn't even
And
hit you.
it represents a lot of resources.
Huh. Preserving the 4-2, I'm kind of curious why.
I don't think the perpetual flame was very valuable, so I'm
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
with using it
Well, I was fine with trading the 4-2 and then perpetual.
and keeping up the 6/4. We didn't have to play the 6/4, right? That was an option as well.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Jolt is saying, you know, hey, I don't have quest completion in hand right now. You know, I guess I need to slow things down, right? There's not even a clear answer for this troublemaker now.
That helps, but it's not. It's not going to work without the diligent.
Yeah, you're using the diligent here. That's not the end of the world, though. Just play the
Oh, we can
zapper
devolving
plus-
missiles too. Sure. I would have liked to do this last turn, and because it would have been better on the minion with 2 bodies than this.
Mhm.
Troublemaker with only 1 body, but
Yeah, I think Jolt was probably hoping for, you know, maybe a couple turns of passing after seeing a Scrapyard Colossus come down, and that's why they paced things out the way they did. But you know, 2 turns in a row of minion development means that clearly a different line should have been taken.
and now at this point, Lefty's aware that devolving is in hand, and he's going to go for any minion other than devolving that he can play, pretty much.
Other than Rattlegore.
Other than Rattlegore, right? Because the devolving missiles is so threatening.
Investment opportunity.
We can get through the quest now. That helps.
We still need 1 more now, right?
Well, we have
Oh,
the
no,
lightning bolt and the
we need 2
zapper,
more.
but we're not going to be able to play the reward this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay going for an 8-drop, or do we need to hold back on the value?
I think because, you know, quest completion is in hand, that Jolt should, you know, hold back and not go for the 8-drop, right? Like, you're so close to just getting the double cast
Mm-hmm.
that I think it would be worth it to relax.
Okay. Do we play the... we don't finish the quest then, in that case, right?
You would have 7 mana, so it wouldn't really work.
I like
It
this
doesn't
also
work
for... well, the advantage of playing the lightning bolt is not really one, because it doesn't change the math with how much mana you have post-quest completion next turn, if you have to play the lightning bolt. Lefty trying to end the game before Shaman comes online now fully.
See another Canal Slaughter.
So Obviously, Mutinous doesn't really fit with the big warrior game plan, so I think playing the Overload without the quest reward on the same turn is fine.
Mhm.
Do we run the... Okay. I was suggesting we run the 1/1 in here, sacrificially.
You think for...
I just don't want these totems.
Oh, jeez. Or the Brawl, even, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jolt being, behind, right? Just barely struggling to kill these big minions has them a little panicked, right? And
Mhm.
so maybe they're not taking as much time, maybe not exhausting all their options. But I can agree. I think a 1/1 totem is only holding you back at this stage.
Yeah, it's going to be a liability when these scrapyards or whatever 10-drop comes down because of Brawl. But we'll see what happens.
Both Blade Storms in hand does mean that scrapyards can be
Scrapyards are certainly worse, right? Or maybe manageable. We talked about at the beginning that they can't be killed, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's a lot of resources to fully clear a double scrapyard. Honestly, just like how we were wondering about if Jolt should sacrifice in the totem, do you think Lefty should have just left up that totem? I mean, it was like 1 damage potentially over the next couple turns versus whatever, positive outcomes you get from Brawl.
Why are we putting the... Okay, we're killing this. That's fine. Deciding not to play the charge call and stretch his resources out as much as he can.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, we also needed to get the charge call up to 10, I believe, right?
I think it was already at 10, wasn't it? With
Quest completion. Oh, is that the new thing now?
well, because we added an extra thing with the
True.
nerfs that we have to complete.
That is correct.
I mean, at this point, Jolt knows the Rattlegore's in hand, and he can't play the Devolving, but at the same time, the Troublemaker is going to hurt.
And this, with these 3/3s up, this will be as safe as Rattlegore can be.
We could get some rushers. Darkmoon Rabbit's helpful.
That is helpful. Just get a Goldshire Knoll and Darkmoon Rabbit and just relegate Charged Call to clearing a board.
I think we do have to play both charged calls, unfortunately.
I'm not certain. If we get so Darkmoon Rabbit here plus another rabbit or knoll just means we clear. And then oh man, took the knoll. Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, think if you clear the big warrior board, they don't have very many threats left, right? So
This is interesting. It's saying that Warrior has to play a Brawl or an AoE of some kind here, and I don't know if that's true because the Troublemaker and Shield Slam can deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And things are just going to get worse and worse at this point.
Unfortunately, Shield Slam was used, so not the cleanest outcomes here.
Right, and perhaps a Coerce or something was taken out to make room for this 7/7.
Mm-hmm. Trading heavy plates. Searching for something.
It's definitely awkward to clear with the resources that Warrior has in hand. It's one of those times where you have to wonder where they all use to their maximum usefulness, right?
Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, Lefty knows there's 2 cards that aren't Devolving Missiles, right? Plus a top deck, right? So how safe is this Troublemaker going to be leaving it at 1 health, right? Trading it in and just letting the Miscreants or whatever they're called run into it. And I think, if I was Lefty, I would just go for it, right? You can't give the Quest Shaman, the post-quest completion Shaman, too much time, but we don't see that trade.
Right, and
Lightning
now we
bolt.
get to finally kill the 6/8, which is nice with the lightning bolts. Do we charge call first and just see if we get a rusher?
I think Jolt can just play a removal-based game at this point. I mean, we've seen so many of the big minions that Jolt, I think, can just clear the board, well, basically leaving up a 3/3, unfortunately, but clear the troublemaker and just kind of relax for a bit. Not even play the charge call, right? Sort of give it to Lefty to commit to the board and then deal with it, you know?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We don't know exactly what the last few cards in Control Warrior are. There aren't many left, and he's going to be in fatigue soon. There could be another Scrapyard Colossus, which would have me a little worried about a removal game plan with this hand.
Well, you could always just get 2 Dark Moon Rabbits. Oh, not even killing the troublemaker. We are going to see more 3/3s.
Right, now we're just kind of letting it gain value every turn,
And we're
which
going
I'm
to see
not
a really
happy
good
about.
trade. I am really curious about why Jolt wanted to hold that lightning bolt. And we're going to see a push of 6 damage. I mean, things
More
are
than that.
going. Oh yeah, plus the confirmed.
And this was a good spot from Lefty that at this point you can't even devolve. Oh, that could clean things up nicely. I was going to say we can't guarantee it evolving on this Rattlegore, and that's pretty scary. But Fireheart, what a top deck.
Lightning Storm.
Can we bloom out the Tidal Wave? It's kind of the nuts, right?
Still leaves
So
up.
much health.
And then you just have to devolving the leftover troublemaker. And
Goes for the Lightning Storm. This is fine.
I mean, there is a risk of even if Jolt clears the board, you can just be clocked by Axe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hex.
Hex is great.
Fireheart is out here cheating.
Landslide. You can do the Torrent as well, either one.
Yeah, landslide.
I think Landslide is just get rid of the frog is pretty good.
Yeah. Heat Shock hates frogs confirmed. Oh, toys. Okay. I didn't really see the leftmost option, but I saw toys and Tidal Wave, and I actually was kind of curious about Tidal Wave, right?
I am too. The lack of health worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what the weapon situation is for Warrior. Maybe nothing. Maybe there's just the one axe. I think we only saw one, right?
I don't think, but I don't think Jolt would assume only one axe, right?
No, probably not.
I think Jolt would assume, there's going to be another axe. Probably Bulwark too, so even if I block a hit, I'm still can just get killed by Bulwark. So I'm surprised, it might have been a rope thing. I'm surprised to see Jolt not go for the Tidal Wave. So what we get from Tiny Toys.
What do you need?
Okay. More totems.
Those are some good minions. We could Lightning Bolt face and overdraft the Barons. I think that's pretty good because it's a pretty substantial buff.
No, you can't because double cast Lightning Bolt.
It'll be two. Yeah, it's 2 overloads. It wouldn't work. What a shame. That would have been such a cool line.
It would have been cool, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll just see him in the turn here. The concern now is that obviously the fatigue advantage is pretty substantial, but Warrior has so much health. Maybe they can just live long enough, right?
I think the bigger concern is just that axe is coming down eventually, right? Oh no, wait, how does that Blade Storm work? Oh, it does because
It works.
yeah, it does because everything gets.
The mech should still be alive. Oh my god, no, that's so painful.
The Barons doesn't buff herself. Yeah, we don't see enough of that card. It's obviously an amazing card.
And now we have to commit this brawl anyway.
Always perfect, but often.
Well, Lefty could still just go for the other Blade Storm, right? It's as clean as it can get right now. could even just, leave everything alone here, just play the Bulwark, right? If Jolt does anything else, right? There's so many totems to brawl away.
I'd like to argue that the Bulwark's actually not helpful at this stage, because it's
Probably
only
not.
blocking a little bit of damage.
Yeah, probably not. I was just
I want to
wondering
trade this
if you thought you were
Overdraft,
probably-
but I don't want to play. I don't want to draw any more cards. I think fatigue is maybe a concern at this point.
Yeah, with 7 health remaining, both Canal Sloggers gone. It's there's one more guidance, I believe, to
Yeah.
maybe get some extra healing.
There is
But,
another guidance.
Are we?
That tidal wave would be insane here, actually.
So there isn't a second axe.
I don't think so. I think it's time to finally play this other charge call that we've been holding on to.
Both Blade Storms are gone, so this is about as good as it gets. Right? Just get 2 Scrapyard Colossi, and then it's very hard to deal with cleanly. Alternatively, Hero Power Pass.
Fatigue Shaman.
Honestly,
Jolt's
I
got
don't.
a very clear idea of he sticks to his guns, right? He's got a very clear idea of what he's doing in this matchup, and it's pressing the hero power every turn.
This reminds me of last fall playing the counter Bomb Warrior Control Shaman, where basically your entire game plan is to just heal as much as possible and just hero power pass with Galakron,
Uh-huh.
so that Bomb Warrior can't kill you because you just have minions and you just tidal wave away your own minions. That deck had like 100 some points of healing. It was great. I want to see Control Shaman come back.
Oh, Zixor
Oh.
Prime. He's here.
I did forget about that.
I did too.
I think we just play it.
Yeah. It's gonna force out the brawl pretty much, right? There's no Blade Storms or anything at this stage. Oh wait, he didn't hero power. He didn't hero power this turn. But probably he's thinking about the brawl, right? There's no
Yeah.
point. The brawl, it's strictly wrong.
Well, I mean, if Jolt's plan was to just hero power for the rest of the game, that's a solid plan, and getting the attack totem helped.
Oh, and the buffed Zixor lives.
Jolt absolutely high rolling. Wow.
I think with the Diligent, that should be enough pressure from the board. At this point, you can use Tracker, right, and know pretty much what's in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know about the Corsair caches, probably, but the rest of the hand should be a known quantity.
Yeah, so I'm very surprised by double Corsair cache in a single axe deck. That surprises me. Because with Big Warrior, you don't really care for a lot of dead draws like that. And
Right.
personally, I don't enjoy axe in Big Warrior at all because of what I mentioned in Game 1, the phenomena of drawing your big minions.
We do have to play this. So he seems like he's saving Diligent for the guidance, right? But we do need to play this charged call at some point. We can't hold on to it anymore because I think we actually lose the fatigue race if we just sit around for too long here.
I'm not even sure if Jolt was holding it for the guidance. I think Jolt just might be saying, hey, I don't need to play cards, but the problem is Jolt's at 7. Kind of does need to play cards.
That's 4 fatigue. Well, with the Bulwark damage, it's only 3 ticks of fatigue is lethal. And we're getting close. He's got 5 turns to end the game. The fatigue for Warrior is ramping up quickly, but with the armor hero power, he's got time. Especially with the other heavy plates. You have to make sure to account for those.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jolt knows that there's heavy plate, assumes that there's commencement, probably assumes bulwark. Probably wondering about those last 2 cards, but what could they possibly be to keep you from playing a charge call? And copying a charge call, even. I'm not certain.
Was it better to use the Lightning Bloom there for the extra 4 damage, right?
Most likely.
With the taunts in the way, it gives an extra turn for Jolt because he needs to take that 4th tick of fatigue damage. We'll see if that matters.
I am low on cards.
I am concerned. I don't know if he's mapped out the fatigue math on this.
Yeah, I'm not
Is
sure.
are the wolves enough?
I don't believe so. I mean, I don't think we've mapped out the fatigue damage on this. The
I
bulwark
think it's
is,
super close.
the bulwark is pretty big here. Not getting the 4 extra damage off lightning bloom might have mattered.
I have no cards.
There's the guidance.
We have 4 more turns.
The strength totem is actually a big deal here. I also want to point that out.
Tenacity is admirable.
Making sure that the bulwark is really not going to block much damage here because of all the different sources. I think Shaman has this one.
There's 13 on board. Yeah, Shaman
has it at this
13.
point.
Yeah, blocking.
But this went on at seemingly longer than it needed to.
Yeah, holding. I mean, that charge call's been in the hand the entire game, right?
Yeah.
Not usually something that happens going to fatigue.
Right, and with the taunts in the way this worked out is you needed three more ticks of fatigue damage, which is clearly not going to happen. There's only going to be 1.
But yeah, surprisingly close.
Yeah.
This is the end of all things.
The funny thing is, I wonder if Warrior could have drawn 2 less cards that game. They might have won.
With those exact lines, I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
but I
maybe the
think
charge call would have come
overall-
out, but
yeah, I think overall, Jolt had the potential to win, no matter what. There. So what?
I mean, I think that's also just indicative of that matchup is just so incredibly painful for Warrior because of just how much value the Shaman has. It's basically impossible for any control deck to deal with unless you have extreme fatigue tools like Sethic and stuff to just keep generating and generating and generating stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was really close, and I think part of that is that second troublemaker lived for forever, really.
Right. I think Shaman could have maybe taken some more defensive lines than it did.
Like holding that lightning bolt with the second half of the Scrapyard Colossus, like that was kind of surprising. We will be seeing a Taunt Druid.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think it's a clear mistake here because this Lifesteal Demon Hunter is going to come out and beat it up at least. And probably a good read, apparently, from Lefty that it would be a Taunt Druid and not a one with alignment.
I love holding Greybow. How do you feel about it, Heatshock?
I think that Immolation Aura will clear it along with everything else without too much of a problem. There's definitely some merit there for the issues it can cause for Demon Hunter, but Demon Hunter has better answers for it than pretty much any other class, I think.
Okay. I take it back. I don't love it. You put the half of a thought into it. I don't like it anymore. I think it's admirable, but Immolation Aura does clean things up.
There's also a Magtheridon. I think that's going to be a problem.
That's yeah.
It's actually a pretty smart tech, I think, for the slower Druid decks. If you can get a 12/12 early, that might be your out against alignment.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that. Is that 8/8? Is that 8/8 that Druid had? Was it Iron Bark something? Is that still in core? Yeah. Protector.
Oh, that's a good
He's
question.
definitely
I'm not sure.
in core, right?
I don't think anyone ever played it.
I did when I first started playing Hearthstone, and you know what? I'll never forget whatever that card's name was. I'll never forget it. miss whatever that card was every day that I play Hearthstone.
I think we just give our Razormane Divine Shield here. Not
I mean, I
overthink it.
think so. I think maybe you could do that, right? Obviously, like Hero Power plus MO deals with it, but I think Jolt won't do that because holding the Greybow means that Jolt wants to do the copy combo, right?
Yeah.
So now Jolt's just like, okay, cool. I just need, the Oracle and I'm in business. So Jolt's probably not going to do anything here, would be my guess.
Contradictions.
But this is a pretty not great curve from the Taunt Druid. Passing 3 turns is not really... Well, I guess he didn't pass, but he did a watch post. But relatively passing.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Immolation Aura is really playable here, though, because it's such an important card in the matchup.
Well, yeah, but I think the potential of the the 2/3 to just cheat out a bunch of big minions, especially when lefty's looking at how Jolt just passed relatively, like I said, basically just passed turns 1 and 2, right? Didn't develop any threats. Lefty should be thinking there's probably some threatening minions in hand, maybe Teacher's Pet, maybe that Greybow. So I think it would it'd be worth it to think about the MO Aura.
Well, it got the Greybow out of turn sooner by going for the Battle Guard.
This is exciting. When we were playing through Dark Moon and Barons, did we ever think Greybow would see play?
Probably not. No, I don't think that was.
And now it's just killing.
How do you
Now
feel about this
Greybow's out.
Magtheridon, though? I feel like there's a huge risk associated with it because.
Oh, massive! It is turn 5.
Right.
you can't play that, right? Because even if you have the spell damage plus MO, right? To deal 6, that means Greybow would be 7 health and just beating you down. And we do see the Arbor up, so it would have been a bad time.
Yeah. Plus the composting even would have been plenty punishing because of just refilling a whole hand of cards.
Yeah, I don't think this is the matchup for Magtheridon. We do see.
And now it's blocked effectively. There's 5 minions on the board, which means Magtheridon can't be reused.
So consider, if you will, if we rewinded back to turn 3, right? Like, we wouldn't see this game playing out like this if we just played that MO, right?
No.
Because we wouldn't have seen, maybe we would have seen Greybow come down this turn, but definitely not an Arbor up, right?
Right. I don't blame him for the line though, because Immolation Aura is such an important card in the matchup. Just using it to kill a 2/2 and a 2/1, that just feels not right.
But now it doesn't look like we have tools.
I do wonder about the turn 3. Perhaps we could have taken a more mana efficient line. Even if it's not coining the Magtheridon, you could have coined one of those 4-drops that we discovered, right? Rather than picking this philosophy, which is just not doing anything, and this board is kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
and it's game over. There's nothing to be done. Well, GG's to Jolt C there for a quick 3-0, I guess.
GG's to Jolt C and Lefty, actually, for both bringing Big Warrior. It was great to see. I'm really happy to see the rise of Big Warrior.
Right, I think all things considered, Lefty played pretty well. It's just unfortunate that matchups did not work out at all the way he needed them to. And I think that maybe thinking some more about Q order could help with that.
Yeah, I think
the game 1 queue in particular raises some questions for me, with the perception that Fel DH is our strongest deck, or is capable of getting points here against these particular classes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jolt really really had the Q order, right? I mean, we saw, big warrior into DH. Awesome to see. Quest shaman into the big warrior, right? Another just oppressive matchup, right?
Mhm.
Jolt really just had lefty there.
And do you think in that last game, Big Warrior has a better chance than that the DH? Big Warrior has plenty of defensive tools of its own.
Um, it's kind of tough, right? Because if there's a bear off in the Warriors list, then you can always clear Taunt Druid, but otherwise it can get iffy. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Jolt C, welcome and congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
Yeah, well played. I think you had us most worried in the Warrior versus Shaman game, but you kept playing for the long haul and eventually got there.
Yeah, I figured bringing the deck that I knew the way to beat it was just more or less I had to keep the missiles for Rattlebore, and if I had to take 8 to the face, I would take 8 to the face for a turn or two. So
Well, the funny thing is you had that devolving missile at the end of the game because of the hex,
yeah.
but sometimes it works out that way.
Oh, then I got another one I think off the wand maker too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
classic.
It does seem like we were worried that you took a very slow approach to that matchup. You really prioritized hero powering, which was interesting because we thought that maybe the hero power has some drawback against Warrior because of cards like Brawl and Rancor
Yeah.
that they can use against you there. Walk us through your approach with that.
So for that one there, my biggest worry was I had 2 charge calls in my hand and he had 2 brawls. So if I whiffed, I had nothing to back it up and he'd have big things coming back at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I did everything I could to draw out both brawls as much as I could. So,
Right.
Then after that,
Was
that
there
way,
two?
that's
I
why I
don't think
held
there
the
was
last
two.
charge call till the end.
Was there 2 brawls? Because one was played, I'm pretty sure.
One was played, and I don't know if he held the second one or it just never got played.
There was no Brawl
There
yet
was
at the
no
end of the game.
no brawl
Oh,
at
they
the
only
end of
played
the
one?
game.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can go back and watch the VOD. He had 2. He had 2 caches in hand.
Okay.
So we were kind of worried. You had us scared at the end that the clock wasn't going to work out your way with perhaps the if you take 3 ticks of fatigue and a bulwark swing, that would have done it.
Yeah, I was looking at the guidance. I was waiting for the guidance. I was actually holding the note taker and the guidance until I got the second guidance, but that didn't show up to my last card. So, and then by then my board was full, so I was pretty much just doing the math in my head to see if I was going to make it. But luckily enough, I was one turn away.
Yeah.
Right. You were 2 turns because you couldn't swing your face with the bulwark through the taunts, which actually mattered. But you had that charge call at the end of the game. Did you ever consider playing that earlier, or were you thinking there was a second brawl that was going to come out?
I thought there was a second brawl. So when I got the second Feral Spirits, I thought he'd brawl that away, and I was just going to swing back with the charge call, and that'd be the game anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't aware that there might have only been one brawl if that was the case because I didn't have a tracker or anything. I mean, we saw as casters that he obviously didn't have another brawl and we were confused.
Yeah.
But
I was holding out for the second brawl because I just didn't want to take 2 10-drops, not get the death rattle, and then just be kind of up creek. Actually, at the end there, I was kind of when the Zigzor came out, I kind of didn't want that totem out there. That would at least have at least a 4/4 up there. So I was happy that lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was you summoned a lot of totems that game. I think it was probably like 20 totems or more. Which is pretty impressive.
Draenei Totem Caller would be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
I was actually just going to ask you about that last game there because I initially loved the Greybow Keep, but I was talked out of it by my co-host here. So I was wondering if you could convince him about why the Greybow Keep was so good.
Because I thought I thought my only chance was to get it to stick. And and so that was to get it to stick and keep resummoning, because that's the only way I could have had the only way I thought in my head that I can get the demon hunter out of removal. Because if
Right,
I
that's an
keep
idea. My
summoning it-
thought process is the Arcanist Immolation Aura just clears it along with anything else.
yeah, then I thought about that about turn 2. So
Ah,
But yeah, it worked out. He didn't have any spell damage to go with the aura, and it really he kind of just died, which happens sometimes.
yeah,
that
yeah, I was
that
afraid
Crowbro guy's
my
good.
turn 3 play. I thought for sure that was just going to be washed away.
hmm
But it worked out.
I mean, the Greybow ended up being good because he played it for 3 mana. So
Yeah, then
um,
having the 1-drop also helped. So that way, if it did
yeah.
get hit, that'd be good.
Absolutely.
And then one of the interesting lines was that Scrapyard Colossus came out, which is a card we haven't seen much in Big Warrior, and you decided to go for Torrent Clear on that rather than the Diligent Devolving Missiles. Did you think about getting another Devolving Missiles, or you just felt like you needed all the Diligent and the Devolving for later?
I think I was just I was thinking just more or less about Rattlegore and what else he still had in his deck, all the big threats. So I was just kind of counting them up, and so I just wanted to make sure I had enough to take everything away. So, and especially with, like I said, with Rattlegore, I didn't want to burn the developing missiles just to if that he could turn around and drop that.
Right. Right. Well, and then my last question is, how did you approach key order in this match? Because I think that was really one of the deciding factors, as you hit everything you wanted to hit, pretty much, and your opponent did not. Except for the last game, potentially, maybe not the Q, but
Yeah.
in Conquest, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, Q order. It was honestly, I just felt based on the decks or the classes that were picked, I just picked the deck I thought had the best chance to win, regardless what he picked. And then did that the second time. Did that with my last deck. So
Do you think his Druid was ever alignment or going to be the token variety?
Actually, I was between token and clown.
Clown Druid. That's interesting.
Oh gosh, please don't bring that back. Oh.
Yeah, it was that or clown because with the matchups and in case he was trying to go up against a 50-50 against the aggro druid, a clown would have been able to beat the demon hunter and the warrior, but it would have had no chance against the druid. So I decided to just forego that and just go with the best deck.
Yeah, Clown Druid's not something we've been seeing really at all, but it is extremely good against Control Warrior. So that makes that I wasn't even on my radar at all, but definitely makes sense here.
Yeah, I just didn't know how much game theory I was going to put into my lineup.
Did you consider bringing a slower Druid deck rather than the tokens? Because I would have been concerned leaving up Demon Hunter and Warrior that anti-aggro would have been powerful, or were you more concerned about making sure that the Druid Mirror, his aggro deck, didn't beat you there?
I was just more or less that his aggro deck. If it came down to the druid, I would just hope they'd to get a good draw. But I just brought the best decks for what I thought the classes were. That's all I did. All I did.
Yeah, well, worked out well. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
Well, thank you so much for coming on stream, Joltzy, and thank you, Lefty, as well for coming on and playing on stream. And thank you to Heatshock and Ufric for coming, and Ufric for coming in kind of on pretty short notice to cast with his Washu, to get our Washu casting team. And I want to thank all the viewers for coming and hanging out. And I think tomorrow night we have a pretty full slate of matches. Starting at I believe it's 8 p.m. tomorrow. We have two matches, two standard matches and battlegrounds at 9. So that's gonna be exciting. Make sure to tune in for that. And I believe that is all that. Well, that's all we have for tonight for matches. So thank you again to everybody, and we will see you tomorrow for some more Hearthstone action. Take care and stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.